Ogre Barbarian, also known as Brett. Today with me we have...
Hey guys, this is Sebastian, also known as Doombox on Reddit.
Hey guys, this is Daniel, also known as DPO427 on Reddit.
And we are the Oddsmen. First off, want to wish everyone a happy new year. Thanks for sticking with us through 2017. Second, we've reformatted the show a little, keeping things, fresh and kind of streamlining them a little bit. TP is going to go ahead and fill us in on the details real quick.
Okay, so our DCL related topics will all be covered in Game Talk right from here on out, and it'll be divided into sections that will be covered by a specific person, and then we'll discuss them afterwards. So our Lame Talk section will now be all non-DCL related content, and we want to talk about what we think is interesting, and what is relevant to our general community. And then there'll be a short Q&A section at the end of each part of the podcast where we'll answer DCL and non-DCL related questions in each respective area.
Awesome. So let's get to it. Our sections, they're going to be kind of as follows. The names are still kind of, we're still working on it. But the first one, it's going to be Here Comes a New Challenger, and that's going to be Doom handling that. And those are going to be the new characters for each month. Second section is going to be Nip Tuck, again handled by Doom. These are going to be the reworks for the month. We're then going to go into the arena, which is talking about the state of PvP, the meta, and then we're going to go into Event Horizon, which will address all the new PvE content, hopefully soon. Also the hero challenges and stuff like that. We're going to be covering all that. And I'm going to be doing those too. Finally, we're going to do DP is going to cover Shop Talk, and then Community WATCHTOWER, and to just kind of wrap everything up from there. We're all kind of going to give a general overview, and then we're going to discuss a little bit along the way. So without further ado, here's Doom.
Alrighty guys, so first, the new characters for the month. Kind of exciting, but also kind of not for a few reasons, but we'll start out with Powergirl. Clearly a character based around those strength up buffs. She gets various benefits depending on how much strength she has. Ironically enough, though, her damage doesn't seem to be that great, even with how much strength she's building. She's kind of like Supergirl, the classic character, who she builds up massive amounts of strength with her passive, but she's still not really putting out much damage aside from one cooldown. But her main benefits, of course, she gets that taunt with depth immunity. She benefits really, really well with allies that are pretty common and pretty useful all around, like Cheetah, who provides the acceleration. You also have characters like Jon Stewart, a canonical love connection there, pretty nice. But for the most part, she looks to be a sponge character, I guess would be the way I would put it. She's there to soak up some hits, put down that taunt, mitigate the damage by time for the rest of the team. Of course, as a result, because she has taunt and those immunities, she's more or less katana kibble, especially with her affinity. So some good team comps that you might want to consider. I'll just go ahead and list them off real quick. Cheetah, champion of the Amazons, Wonder Woman, Supergirl 2, as I'll call her, Powergirl, whatever you want to call her. World's Greatest Detective Batman, that one's more of an offensive build. Basically, you stack strength, you stack some more strength. You get those cooldowns down as well as adding that affinity up, and then you just kind of run over the enemy team. Another one that could be good, which is a bit more defensive, would be an Enchantress-led team with Powergirl, Chemo, and the Penguin. Now, this one's going to be obviously a bit slower, but I think it has a lot of potential. You stack up a bunch of overheal. Powergirl buys that time. Meanwhile, you have Penguin and Chemo stacking those bleeds and putting those shields up. And we've all seen how stupid tanky Penguin can be if his last hero battle was any indication. Another good one, Jon Stewart as a leader, Powergirl, Aquamoa, and Bane. I guess more taking damage focused one that's a bit more defensive. So you have Jon Stewart, who gives strength ups if anyone's under half health, as well as providing a very big punch himself. You have Powergirl, you have Aquamoa, both of them gaining benefits when anyone's hit on their team. And then you have Bane, who does Bane things. You hit him, he gains all of his health back and just runs you over. And then on the other side, a more, I guess, retaliation-focused one, incorporating another rework. Captain Cold is your leader. Powergirl, Shazam, and Bane. You have Shazam with his ability to gain meter whenever anyone gets hurt. You have Captain Cold just blasting off people who manage to hit you. And then once again, Bane, Powergirl, kind of just doing their whole, oh, I took damage here, let me get all this in. Now, that's basically the summary for her. She's very spongy, not very interesting. She's a supplement character, I would say. Superboy. Now, this is our interesting point. True Sight. No taunts, no invisibility. Which, considering that taunt has been changed to now block random effects and direct it towards that player, something that would have been fantastic back when CAGA was a thing, but whatever, better late than never. That's the way it tends to go. But at the moment, it seems to definitely be the final nail in the coffin for Lobo, Harley Quinn, Deathstroke teams. Lobo can't taunt and block you. You can basically just ignore him, walk right by and punch Deathstroke in the face until he's dead. Targeted stun is nice, but it's not really a commodity compared to what it would have been a while ago back when he would have been more relevant. He's fast, which that's always nice, but nothing special. He's green, and here's something interesting. I believe that at the moment, green is probably the weakest affinity. Now, of course, my reasoning for it is that you have options like DOJ, you have options like Cheetah, the new Shazam, and the new Black Adam, a lot of very strong blues, and green characters as a whole just don't seem to do enough anymore. So, and he's not all that tanky, so it's not like he can really back up his weaker, more glass cannon-y stature. He gets bonuses for enemy taunts, so he works well against Powergirl and Harley, but you can also do it for yourself. But I don't think he's strong enough to really shape the meta. Just to throw out a team comp recommended, probably Nightwing as your leader, Superboy, maybe Powergirl, and I guess Mira. Throw some extra heals in there, Boy, that AoE stuff. So yeah, those are our new characters. Do you guys have any inputs, any thoughts you want to share before we move on to the reworks?
I do actually have something to say about Superboy. I believe he doesn't care that it's the enemy that has the taunt or invisibility, is it? Or am I wrong?
It works for both sides of the field, but I'm personally having a few issues trying to think of very good taunt / whatever characters outside of Harley.
Well, you got Harley, Powergirl, Lobo, Grundy,
Shazam.
Yeah. Like you have some good ones, I think. So, and then again, also the invisibility. So, like the Nightwing comp that you were saying actually is pretty good too.
I think
Mirror Master, I would say, would be good too.
Being able to hit invisibility might actually be a good thing going forward, because I see a lot of people using arrows again, mainly because when they're invisible, they don't get counterattacked by Harley or Arcus or whatever, right? So this could be a good thing to battle against the arrows that are cropping up again. So
yeah, I guess the only problem is that if you want to get really good effectiveness out of them, you kind of are shoehorned into bringing Ivy to pass that true sight around. Because I don't personally feel like he does enough damage on his own to justify bringing him specifically for that one purpose.
Yeah, but then at that point, you've got two characters on the team dedicated to doing that. And I'm not so sure that you wouldn't be better off just bringing TDK Batman to purge the taunt, or Batman World's Greatest Detective to purge off the invisibility.
I think it's just good against teams that have potential double taunters. They might not be characters that have like taunt at the start of battle like Harley Quinn or Powergirl. But let's say, for example, you start with Harley Quinn and Shazam, or Powergirl and Shazam, for example, or even DOJ, for example. When you have multiple taunters and you only have one guy to deal with it, then it becomes sort of an issue, right? But now, if you have a character that can just ignore it and just go after who you're supposed to put that guy in for, then they become less relevant. So your overall team composition will probably change if you're using Superboy, because then it'll free up more slots, I feel. That's sort of what I'm thinking about, but it might not exactly be the case.
See, I'm looking at him more for his guaranteed stun. I think that's going to be his primary little niche that he's going to be in, is that guaranteed stun. And then, he'll bypass Harley, stun somebody, and that he'll go from there. Like, you're bringing him along for the utility. He's not there for the damage.
He's a super good utility Swiss Army knife type of character, and much like all the other paywall characters we've seen. So, I think he has a good role in most rosters.
Well, I mean, just to close it out, the way I see him personally, he's sort of like, what was that character we got a little bit ago? That was also a magic bullet general Swiss knife character that was meant to change things, and then no one used them because they were like, why would I bother using them?
Scarecrow?
Edphil? Yeah, that's the one.
Okay. Scarecrow.
So, I mean, that's the way I see him. Scarecrow was slated to be this big deal, and then because no one ever used him, he never became a big deal. So I see Superboy as much of the same. If people use him, great. Meta might shift a little bit, but probably not. But considering he's both paywalled and also his effect doesn't really do quite so much.
Yeah, I think he falls into that problem category of just not doing the damage and not quite being fast enough that a lot of people are literally just going to ignore him, because those kind of players are the ones that kind of define the meta for the most part.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
so moving on.
Hold on. One thing before we move on. So on the topic of meta shifting characters, like in terms of new characters, I think personally the characters that are Swiss Army knife based characters are probably never really going to shift the meta. They come in to sort of help answer the current meta. That was the situation with Red Hood and so on and so forth. But it's not going to shift it, because it's not going to be like this is going to end completely the other thing that was currently plaguing the meta. It's going to help adjust and deal with stuff. But for example, I think that the non-paywall characters often have a greater impact on the meta. For example, I know that we weren't talking too highly about Powergirl, and she may not seem super great right now, but the fact that she's based around strength buffs is actually scary if they bring out more characters to support her. Because right now, the only real characters that give her enough strength buffs are Cheetah and Wonder Woman, Champion of the Amazon. But
and Ares too.
Don't forget Hippolyta. Don't forget Hippolyta.
Oh yeah,
that's true too.
I always forget Hippolyta. She does
like. There's a lot more than you give her credit for, but there are a lot of mystics.
But now, imagine, let's say, for example, if you have a team that has a physical-based character that can give strength ups to your team, and then you have like a nice balanced affinity team based around strength up buffs, that could be really scary. So it could be something.
What about like, a Hippolyta lead with Cheetah, and then Powergirl and Batman, just like Doom was saying already before, except he didn't have Hippolyta on there.
Sure.
So, I mean, now they're getting stamina ups because they're all glass cannons, and they're becoming tankier in the long run. And you have Hippolyta's assist call. Like, I think it gets kind of silly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I think Powergirl has the potential to shift the meta. I just don't think she's there yet. I don't see Superboy doing it at all.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with those points.
I agree. I can agree with that.
Moving on. Sorry about that. Had to plug in. Moving on, let's talk about these reworks really quick because I don't want to keep us for too long. So, Shazam, or as a lot of people like to refer to him, Shazam with the little money finger motion. You all know him. No one really loves him, but I swear some people out there do. The people that
love him are the fans. It's not necessarily people that love him for his in-game useness.
Yeah, of course not. But it's the power of money. He's basically this game's Batman. So, Shazam, right? Just as always, big, fat, meaty intelligence tank. Let's be honest, this rework doesn't really do much for his viability, but he does synergize well with the new characters. He's still fast, and obviously he still works in all the ways he did before, and he actually provides a pretty good check for another reworked character, Black Adam. Overheal is nice because he has a big, fat, stupid health pool, but otherwise, whatever. Anti-crit is handy, it's just not as prevalent as it once was, and True Sight is a thing, so he's kind of negated. But, I mean, in all honesty, Shazam's just kind of the same as he always was. If you have $500 to throw at him, or however much it costs to boost him up, go for it, man. Do whatever you want. But I don't really see him coming into the meta any more than he already has, which is nothing. Now,
Unless the hero challenge happens.
Oh yeah, unless the hero challenge happens. If that happens, people are gonna get him and then realize how bad he is, and they won't use him. But speaking on bad characters, let's talk about a really good character. Oh my god, Black Adam. Have you guys seen this rework? He's insane. Huge burst. He can go damage immune, which mitigates his only weakness, being that he's a glass cannon. He can pair with a bunch of other win an enemy die characters, which there's tons of them now. Like what? There's Red Hood, there's Huntress, like the whole works. He's a green breaker, which is fantastic considering we just got 2 green characters. He's a little bad against Shazam, but really, I mean, who has Shazam? And he's decently fast. He's strong. He's some glass cannon, but he can change the face of the battlefield. He gets that cooldown refresh now. It's not just take a few turns off of it. No, it's outright. If he murders someone, you can just start blasting people some more. He is crazy. I would say 100%. If he's in the shop, if he's at a hero challenge, if you just want to farm that last node of heroic, I would recommend it 120%. Like if they make him even remotely more accessible, I see him destroying the meta. He is the reason why I'm almost 100% sure that green is the weak affinity at the moment.
Really?
So, what do you guys think?
I just had a question about Black Adam before we go into the things. When you said the cooldown, which move is the cool? When he kills someone, he gets a cooldown on which move? Is it Contact Storm or Shazam?
The cooldown for Shazam gets reset. Contact Storm is the one that causes the reset. But that move does such stupid meaty damage, like special damage. Just huge amounts of it, like a chunk. Like this thing can one shot a Gear 11 Superboy probably.
Okay. So, Ogre, what are your thoughts on these characters?
Shazam, the only reason to bring him is that stupid powerful taunt. Like gaining 10 stamina ups is insane.
And overheal.
And the overheal.
And damage immunity if you have the legendary.
And potentially the damage immunity. Like
fun fact.
That is stupid.
Fun fact. Buff, debuff applies before damage healing.
Really?
It's reversed. Healing damage applies before buff, debuff. So, unfortunately for Shazam, he gets his overhealing before he gets his stamina.
Boo.
Isn't that sucky?
Actually might explain why people thought that it was broken.
It's like, I don't see any overheal. It's like a tiny tick, or maybe not even.
It's there, but you can't see it because it minimalizes so much.
It's like his HP bar is increasing.
It's really good when he's below full health.
Yeah.
It's really good when he's below full health, but not so good when he's at full health.
Yeah.
So
okay.
That's actually good to point out. So I like that. But I know both Shazam and Black Adam can gain a ton of meter. Specifically, Black Adam, I have heard, is now a PvE god.
Oh, not just PvE.
Run through waves and waves and waves so fast.
PvE,
from what I understand.
PvP too. He does it all.
Which is, it's good because that's the kind of character you want as the final node of heroics.
Actually,
he's finally getting the limelight he deserves.
I hadn't thought about that, but man, this makes PvE a little bit harder for some people, I imagine, especially new players coming into the game that have to fight him.
Is there a Black Adam?
Oh yeah, some of these reworks have made PvE a lot harder.
Wait a minute.
I have found that out the hard way with Chemo versus the World and Princess of Themyscira.
Oh yeah, he's in Lord of the Undead, right?
Mm-hmm.
That too, yeah.
He's in the energy one. He's in the can't remember.
Yeah, he's really hard in that one.
Yeah.
I had to get to mid-40s before I could beat it on the Oddsman account.
Wow, that's a very good point. I actually didn't think about that.
Silly.
I had one thing to say though, because you were saying how like Shazam kind of feels like you can overlook him, but listening to We Are Legends, Hate Mail was saying that like he turned the corner on Shazam. He actually was thinking the same as us, but then he's like, oh, Shazam's actually quite good now. Given and he was saying that as long as you get Legendary 1, he's already decent as long as you put it in his taunt, because he just becomes a big giant meat shield, and even without it, he's still a pretty good meat shield. But like if you were some of the lucky people that got into the top 1,500 or so in the last Shazam PvP cycle, you probably have a decent amount of his shards, and if you've been saving up your Void Scanner spins, you could potentially get him to Legendary 1. Like, I got him to Legendary 1 doing exactly that. So, I'm saying he's still hard to access, but, not impossible.
I see him as someone that I probably have better versions of in my roster about 5 times over, but that's just me. But time's moving, so should we. Kicking it off now to Ogre.
All right, so the arena. So everybody for many, many moon now has been complaining about Deathstroke and Harley and Lobo. And from what I can tell, the meta is slowly shifting away from those. And I think it actually is partially due to the impact of the 3-star system now. The 3-star system has been interesting, to say the least. It punishes players for not having everybody alive at the end a little bit, but not a lot. So it does reduce the gap that was created initially for someone using Deathstroke Lobo who had plus 18s versus people who were only getting plus 5s. That gap has been narrowed just enough, I think, to allow people to actually use different characters on their rosters. So it's been interesting to play PvP the last few weeks. So, how do you guys feel about it? I know, Doom, you're probably kind of out of it at the moment, but
no, I'm still in PvP. What are you talking about? I still do my rounds. I still spread the good word of Doomsday Chemo. And to that note, actually, I rather like the 3-star system. I would agree. I feel like it tips the scales just enough to where people who are running the Suicide Baby Lobo teams are getting more punished. It's less optimal to do for their energy. Meanwhile, people like me who are running the big, beefy, oh, you're just never going to kill me, but you'll eventually bleed out compositions are getting rewarded for it. And, on top of that, as mentioned before with the characters, now there's even more answers to using Deathstroke, Lobo, Harley with the True Sight and all that jazz. So, I mean, it just seems like it's a bad, bad day to have invested so hard into Deathstroke. But maybe that's hopeful thinking. What do you think, DP?
I mean, I like the 3-star system in general. It's good and bad on different points. The one thing that I'll say bad about it is that the gaps between the stars, like for example, let's say the 13 to 20 point range, for example, right? The highest range. You have, I think it's 13 points is the lowest. Then you have 18 and then 20, right? So the difference between the first two is 2 points, and the difference between the last two is 5 points. I feel like it should be a little bit more balanced between each, because let's say I want to get maximize my points, and I want to get all 20 points, for example. I need to build my team composition in a way that all my guys are going to hang around for as long as possible, right? But I'm not really getting rewarded, I feel, enough. Like 2 points between having one guy die or having everyone alive, it's not significant enough for me, I feel. And it's even less the further you go down. Sometimes it's only 1 point, right? So let's say, for example, the gap was like 3 points and 4 points, for example. I think that would be a lot better. Like, why is the gap between the 1st star and the 2nd star so huge? That's my only gripe about it.
I mean, I could see it from that view. I also see it as like, if you make it the way that you're describing, it kind of does punish the newer players, though, who don't have that option of just clearing things out super fast like we do, where we can just be like, oh, my chemo has 32,000 health baseline, no worries. Like, when you're in those newer stages, Ogre knows because he's been playing on the Oddsman account, it's a bit of a struggle. It's a bit of a grind. So I could see it being like, oh, you lost a guy, no sweat, we'll just knock off a few points. I think that's a good way to go. I agree it could be extended a bit more. I think that the gap between the 2nd star and the 1 star should be bigger, if nothing else.
Okay.
Like, instead of it being 3 and 4, I think it should be like 2 and 7.
So like super punishing like Lobo users or baby Lobo.
Yes.
Users. Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I think they should lose all the points. If something dies more than twice, you're doing it wrong and you shouldn't get any points. You need to get better.
Okay.
Jeez.
Okay. Well, what about the metagame, though? How do you guys feel the metagame is evolving?
I think it's opened up a little bit. Yeah. You know, I've seen a lot more than just Deathstroke lately. I've seen a lot more Green Lantern, a lot more DOJ.
Yeah, I'm personally a big fan of the more defensive switch of things, you know? Like, offensive is fun and all, you know, but no one enjoys being one-shot by Reverse Flash on the first turn.
Yeah.
The fact that people actually have fighting chances now, for the most part, that's the best thing to me. It definitely feels more healthy.
I was having a discussion with someone earlier this week about how they felt like the metagame really didn't shift, and they were seeing like tons of Deathstroke still, even at high levels. And someone asked me, because at that time I just got into the top 100, and I took a screenshot showing like maybe 5 or 6 of my 10 were Deathstroke lead teams, and they're saying, see, this is exactly what I was saying. But then I took a look at each team. Only one of them had Baby Lobo. The other teams were like Gear 11, like all Gear 11 Deathstroke team. He just happened to be the leader because why not, right? And the other guys were...
Yeah, I've seen that a lot too.
So I'm saying, like, I think Deathstroke as a leader will probably not go away, but the combo aspect with a low-level reviver is probably slowly making its way out. So I think that the shift is happening. Not completely there, but happening.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, it would be kind of sucky if people did invest quite so much into Deathstroke, because a lot of people really broke the bank on him, and then he suddenly became completely invalidated. I understand that shouldn't be the case. Even if I want it to be the case, I understand it shouldn't. So, yeah, I'm actually personally pretty happy that Deathstroke's still in the meta somewhere. I just don't want him to be as dominant as he was.
He also even though he himself is a gimmick type of character, he keeps other gimmick characters in check too, right? So if someone goes out with like some wacky, like, you know, glass cannon type team that just nukes like 3 of your guys at the start of the battle, Deathstroke's just gonna wreck them all, right? So
yeah.
In theory, yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Sorry. Scotty Mack in chat was pointing out a couple of things. We were talking about Deathstroke. He said that there seems to be around the 1500 mark that it's predominantly Deathstroke teams, and about 70 to 85% it seems at this point. What do you guys think about that statement?
Yeah,
that sounds about right.
That doesn't really surprise me. It's the people that are trying to make top 100 that really don't want to waste the money on it.
Oh, that's true.
That don't want to waste the gems on it, rather.
Right.
So, I mean, when I made my climb into top 100 a couple weeks ago for Red Hood, I saw a lot of Deathstroke, and I swear it is only because of that. Because right now I'm hanging out in 5,000 range, and I'm seeing so many diverse teams. I see like 3 Deathstrokes per page.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's mainly because Deathstroke as a character is still a strong character, and as I said, a lot of people invested a lot into him, so he's probably their best option. So it's understandable why a lot of people would be using him. And around the 1500s mark, those are probably the people that have based their entire rosters at this point around that one combo. So I would understand probably around the 1500s that, yeah, Deathstroke's probably a bit more prevalent than he is at the much, much lower ranks, or even, I'd say, the much, much, much higher ranks. Because I think the very top of the board, it might still be a bit Deathstroke heavy, but it's nowhere near as bad as it once was.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Top 100 looks a lot more varied lately.
Right.
So, all right, moving on. We got the event section here. We're going to talk about the eventuality that new PvE content is coming. It still hasn't.
No.
It still hasn't yet. But rumor is it's coming soon.
Yeah.
Soon. Trademarked.
Right? Yeah, I know, yeah. So we're still not sure when. We're still not sure what, but we're all still hopeful that something is coming, you know, whether it's a second campaign or whether it's chapter 9 and 10 or whatever. You know, because we've already beat the crap out of Necron for ages now. It'd be cool if they introduced a new storyline with Brainiac or Darkseid or something like that.
Yeah.
Everybody would love to see them as raid bosses, but if they were actually the next campaign bosses, I think that would be good too. But again, we're still not sure what we're getting yet, so everybody's just speculating. But as far as it goes, the Powergirl challenge was a lot of fun. Had a pretty good restricted list, I thought, and it was wide open for people. And I think pretty much a lot of people were able to get further in this one just because of the depth of the restricted list.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good. That was a plus. How did you guys feel about the Powergirl event?
It was easy. I'm not trying to say that it was so easy that like I can't believe people were struggling on the last node, but it was just mainly like you just have to think before you go into it. I saw a lot of people with the same teams that I did. They just put the wrong leader in. They put Wonder Woman DOJ instead of Wonder Woman Princess of the Mascara as the lead.
Yep.
Like, if you know that Powergirl is based on buffs, then just bring in a debuffer. And that's like the other option. I think you had Red Hood who can
Hal Jordan
can debuff. Red Hood can debuff. Was Catwoman on the list? I think she was, right?
I think she was, yeah.
Like Catwoman. And so there's a lot of
it had a big roster of characters that were plenty viable against her.
Yeah.
So, but I think Princess of Themyscira was the big one.
I know that the players who are struggling are probably always going to be struggling with these type of events. It's just people who have a limited roster because they just started. But if you have a somewhat developed roster, and I say this every time when people ask about character strategy and development for the roster, just diversify your roster so that you have a lot of different bases covered in different affinities if possible. So that's just it. That's all you need to do for PvE.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be inclined to agree with DP as far as it being like GG easy. I left mine on auto and I cleared it first try. So, and I had DOJ as my leader, so I don't want to hear any of that Princess of the Mascara conspiracy theory stuff. No way. She's still not viable. I refuse to believe it. But
she's broken. I think
she's really, really good right now.
No, I know she is. I just don't want to admit it. But
she's actually the one leader I actually actively avoid.
She's
really? Oh, that's weird.
She wrecks
go
bleed
for
teams.
her all the time if I can.
She wrecks my bleed teams hard.
If you don't debuff her, she silences you too. It's really tough to kill her. So,
but as far as the challenge itself goes, I am a little salty still to this day that we haven't gotten a Poison Ivy-esque, oh, here's some rings challenge like we did before. But
God.
I have to accept that those days are dead and gone.
I don't think that's coming back.
I don't think so either.
We could just say that was just sort of like a Black Swan event. So
yeah, probably. But otherwise, I mean, I agree. The fact that the roster was deeper and there were a lot of options that provided answers. Like you had Cheetah, you had DOJ, like you had obviously Princess of the Themyscira. You had really good, strong, bursty blue options, and it ended up working out really well. So I'd say that I would say it's better than last month's character challenge. But that's just me.
Okay.
Cool.
So
speaking of Ivy, we just got done with her hero challenge also. Did you guys take advantage of that at all? I know I took her to L3.
I already had her at L5, so whatever.
I did because I had her at L5, but I was watching people. I was watching your videos with the chemo versus the world stuff, and I laughed when you died at the end. So like, okay, what are you doing? Poison Ivy. She's the one keeping you in the fight. Kill her.
Yeah, I was not paying attention that first one. I was like, and rather than make a whole nother video, I was like, screw it, I'm leaving it in.
No, that's fine. It shows that we don't.
And to be fair, this is actually the very first time Chemo's actually lost.
That's fine. It shows that. Well, I'm not gonna say that he's human, but it shows that he's not infallible.
Yeah.
Speaking of fallibility and infallibility, those bugs.
Yeah.
Tell us about Ogre.
Yeah. Okay. So we just had a patch drop on January 16th, I think it was.
Yeah.
Patch 1.17.2, and so many bug fixes. So many bug fixes. Red Hood seems like he's functioning at this point. I think there's a couple of things here and there that have cropped up, but I think for the most part he's functioning at this point. Dr. Poison no longer kills Lobo 7 times, which is super awesome for me. I can finally use her again. There was a few other notes here that I don't really know. Let's see. Stamina up characters from doing phantom attack. Oh, okay. The bug that Hate Mail posted about the Invisible Toon attacking. Yeah. So, like, if they... I think it actually... Stamina up and then combination of that and reviving. Right. If I remember right. So... Because you'd kill them with like an AoE or something, and then because they had a stamina up, they would revive, but not revive, or they wouldn't be visible, but they wouldn't be targetable, or like nothing. It was weird.
I think it was like
so. If you used another AoE, glitch. I think you were okay. What's that?
I think it was a graphical glitch, like that. That was what was causing it to happen. Yeah. Right.
So I think if you used another AoE, you were okay because it would knock them out again. But I'm not 100% sure on that. But anyway, that is supposedly fixed. Apparently, any Energy War Sword from Ares had a bug where it wasn't applying the enrage.
Didn't even know that.
Now it does. Yeah, exactly. Like, not a whole lot of people use them, so... Various crashing and hanging bugs have been, fixed. I think that relates back a lot to Red Hood and Red Alert. Might be the other part of it. So those are good. And then the interfacing for the iPhone X and the whatever the other one was, the big screens,
Pixel 2
they're fixed now so that you have actual full screen content instead of the little tiny guys that you couldn't target. So those are all good fixes.
Bunched up together.
Yeah, those are all really good fixes. Really happy about these. I'm glad WB, is listening to us and is like, oh crap, we need to do something. A little bit more communication would have been nice. Obviously, that's the only thing that everybody's, upset about is that they never communicate with us. Which they're getting there. Our new community manager, which we'll go into later, she's doing good, I think. Yeah. Oh wait, is it a he or a she?
I think
does anybody actually know?
I asked them.
It's the internet, so always assume it's a dude.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. I thought it was female. I'm not sure. So
I thought it was just like Stan. Oh, George is saying it's a she.
Stanner.
How do you know, George? Because I thought Stanner was like a spin on Stan. But anyways. Sounds
about the bugs, like a lot of good fixes.
Just before we move on to the next section about the bugs, most of the things that you were saying were fixed, but let's see here. The Red Hood bugs in general were fixed, but I still see certain corner cases causing awkward, like, I don't know if it's a Red Hood related thing or a Deathstroke related thing, because if you kill Wonder Woman, DOJ, or Zatanna with a Red Hood lead and against the Deathstroke team, it still, for some reason, sometimes triggers his buffs. Like his buffs upon death.
Oh, okay.
It's weird. And I think at first I thought it was because there are people saying he dies due to like bleed, for example, and I've had it where DOJ hits my Harley Quinn and Harley Quinn retaliates and kills DOJ. So I thought it was like the character dying on their own turn, maybe. You know what I mean? That could be a reason, I thought. But then I killed a Zatanna on another team with just Red Hood. Red Hood just kills Zatanna, and it buffed Deathstroke. So that put my theory out the window. So I don't know. It's weird. So
it might be specifically Zatanna then?
It might be that, or it might be Deathstroke related. It might be a Deathstroke related bug, right? So
yeah.
I mean, it could be.
Yeah. Anyways, there was
maybe a bit of overriding. So Deathstroke's like, oh, you're trying to buff yourself? Let me just hop in and grab this.
But definitely the whole killing Lobo over and over thing will not buff him anymore. Like before, it was if you killed him the second or the third time onwards, he would still get buffs, and now that's completely gone. But the one thing that
Yeah.
some people brought up before that they weren't probably getting right off the bat was that why does Lobo come back and sometimes taunt and still get his taunt buffs, right? It's because if Lobo dies, that wipes the slate clean. He comes back as a new character after the buff immunity has been applied to everyone else. So
Yep.
he's a new person coming in after the buff immunity has passed over.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So
he's free to taunt at that point.
So there's no bugs there. Everyone just don't freak out about that. That's just how it's supposed to be. That's all.
Yeah. It all it does is stop him from taunting if he's not the one that died.
Right. Exactly.
So
Which works.
I think that's functioning as intended at this point.
Yep. Looks good.
So
George.
all right, pass it off to you, DP.
George 35 actually pointed out that WB Stanner is a female because he posted the link from the community center showing WB Stanner's profile page with a female symbol. So and their icon.
Now that you mention that, that is exactly where I saw it.
Okay, cool. All right, so we'll get into that in just a bit. So, but before we get into that, the next section we'll talk about Shop Talk. And in Shop Talk, there's a couple of things that we'll go over, mainly, obviously, about packs. The one thing that some people were disappointed in was that there was no M-sized variable packs at the end of December for either Red Hood or Penguin. And a lot of people, I know personally, were saving up their gems to top off their Red Hood or just making sure that they get to that next level. But that sale never happened. And it's kind of weird when they've been doing that pretty much for the last, 2 or 3 months. You would expect that type of consistency, and then it's gone. So that was kind of, what's the word here? That was kind of disappointing. The next thing was the New Year's $25 special for 100 shards, like 25 of each character. That's a good deal in terms of shards. Like if you're paying $25 for 100 shards, just keep in mind that it's kind of like paying $25. It's kind of like paying $25 for the other gem shard packs, but this is you're only getting like 100 shards of these characters. And the pack is actually good, considering that every character in the pack is either exclusive or a very rare or hard to farm, like Black Adam. So it's actually good in general. However, you need to have use for all 4 of the characters, which not everyone wanted. So, and 25 shards isn't a lot for each character. So you probably have to purchase this several times to get, a Black Adam unlocked, for example, or Shazam unlocked. So it really depends on where you're sitting on with that pack. But I didn't think it was terrible. I think it was okay. It really just depends, what your investment level is in. Next up, there was a change to the Mini Hero and Super Pack. I'm not even sure if anyone was buying these packs, but now it seems that they're including the Weekly Alliance 5-point character as a bonus in these packs. So generally, when I'm looking at variable character packs, I tend to stay away from them. However, if you're really looking to pick up that really hard to farm character like Black Adam or even Shazam, this actually was a place to pick them up. So, for example, if you buy the Super Pack, which is 4,000 gems for 50 shards, it's exactly the same rate as the 80 gems per shard standard rate that you'd get from 8K packs. So that pack's not bad. The only problem is you don't know which character you're getting from that pack because there's so many characters in the pack. But if your goal is...
Yeah, it's all random.
Right. But if your goal is to also pick up Shazam shards, for example, this could be a good investment for you. But again, like I said, it's a gamble at the end of the day. There's also the character packs that are now, I'm pretty sure, related to the Alliance missions that go on sale one day before the character would be applicable. So, for example, I think the last one, I can't remember exactly, the last one that went on sale was Deathstroke, and the day after Deathstroke was available as a 2-point character. Before that was Arcus, and so on and so forth. So if you look at every pack that they offered this month, except for the new characters, obviously, it follows that trend. So I think it started with Batgirl, and then there was a few other characters down the road, like even Joker, Damaged Goods, and so on. So this is not like, huge news, but it's important news, because if you're thinking about what packs might come on sale soon in the shop, you can kind of predict like a bit of a cycle that the Alliance characters go through, because you'll see that some characters repeat a lot. So if you're looking for Reverse Flash, or if you're looking for Black Adam, or some harder to find character, there's a good chance they might come up in the shop if they're in that Alliance rotation. So something to keep in mind.
That is a good point.
Right. And in general, the shop hasn't changed too much. The only thing that I found was a bit weird was that Powergirl's $100 gem sale didn't start at the beginning of the month, but that's probably because they wanted the other $100 sale to go up first. Sorry, not the $100 sale, the $25 sale. But yeah, that was it. Nothing too surprising about the shop.
I actually think that one is just because of the way everything fell more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 5 weeks in January, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just trying to figure out what to do during that 1 week
Mm-hmm.
of December and January. So I think that was more of what it was.
Okay. Well,
I don't know.
No, you could be right there because there's more days in the month. That's probably just it then. Yeah, that's it. What do you think, Doom? Did you see anything interesting or new about the shop that caught your eye?
The only thing I would say is that I think I personally would have preferred if instead of being like 25 of each character, if they had just done 100 of one of the characters for 25, because then in that case, you would have been perfectly able to just be like, oh, hey, I want to get Shazam. Well, now you can't because you get 100 of him, or Black Adam, both of which are 90 required characters, versus getting 25 and being like, oh, what can I do with this?
Black Adam is 50, actually.
You know what I mean.
One of those guys is 90.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, the only negative thing I have to say about the shops is just that last month everyone was waiting on Red Hood and he never showed up. I just hope that he shows up again soon. Yeah, that's it.
I have to hope that it was just them trying to get him fixed first.
I mean,
I have to hope that.
the other thing that I was thinking about, and I was trying to backlog my my records of the shop packs, I thought that maybe they were starting that whole Alliance character pack thing at the end of December, and maybe they were sort of getting into that. So if they started the end of the month with like medium variable packs for Red Hood or Penguin, people would think that Red Hood or Penguin should be in those Alliance missions for the day after, right? If they're going to start that. So it's possible that they want to wipe the slate clean, start new in January with this whole sort of pack release system that I was describing. And so that's maybe from now on, maybe that we won't have those variable M-size pack for the monthly characters, which is kind of sad. I actually thought that was a good thing because it let players, let's say you were going for top 100 and you wanted that extra 100 shards to get your guy to Legendary 1, and then but you fell short. But then you have another out at the end of the month with these packs, so you can buy and top them off, right? But if that's no longer there, it becomes sort of like a weird struggle for some people. So it kind of happened with me. I'm exactly 20 shards short of my next rank for Red Hood, and I'm waiting for a pack for him to come out to top him off. So
Yeah.
So I think
it'll be interesting to see here in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on from the shop, the next section to talk about is the community watchtower, as we're calling it now. So this section will talk about all DCL related things concerning the community, both the official official Warner Brothers community, the community center, Reddit, YouTube, etc., etc. So the first thing, let's welcome Warner Brothers' new official community manager, Stanner, and we've confirmed that she's a female. So
Hooray.
Yeah,
Hooray!
Anything to say to Stanner?
Welcome to the community.
Yeah, I'll say the same thing I said in the message. I've learned better at this point than to get attached to our community managers. So I look forward to us enjoying the time we have together for as long as that may be.
Ogre?
Not sure I should say anything, but I'm going to anyway. I actually have been invited by Stanner to go visit WB San Francisco.
Hooray!
Yay!
So
So hopefully that'll help give us.
I'm not sure what I'll be able to say, obviously, but
Yeah, we'll just keep it there. But let's say if that does happen, does it look like it's happening for you? First of all,
yes, it does look like it's happening here in the first couple weeks of February.
Cool, awesome.
Nice.
So if that's happening for you, that hopefully will give us a lot more clout in the community. So we can say that, hopefully.
It'd also be cool if you happen to plug the podcast. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
That was actually one of the questions
Right.
I posted on their questions for the podcast post on their official forums. I actually wrote, would you guys consider collaborating with another podcast, like an unofficial podcast? So that would be something that I'd look forward to. And in the future, like conversely, actually having the official people on our unofficial podcast, right? So that would be cool.
Right. I know. I think I asked the same question. I think, or a similar question, rather. I think I asked if they were ever going to have community guests,
right,
on it.
Yeah.
So
that'd be cool. That'd be really cool. So, and like as I said before in a previous podcast, the main reason why we talk about the community a lot in DCL rated content is because I feel that this game, especially with the inclusion of alliances, has become a lot more social. And the Reddit community is probably the biggest, if not the best, community out there that has a lot of active members in its social circles. And there's a lot of content creators, there's a lot of people contributing to us. And what we want to do as creators ourselves is push all that content as much as we can to help grow the community. But speaking of which, the YouTube channel, the Oddsmen YouTube channel, has finally passed over 100 subscribers. So we were able to change our URL finally to youtube.com/c/theoddsmen. The C, I think, is for channel, but that's cool. We're putting out more content. Well, it's basically Ogre putting out a lot of content as much as we can. I actually finished recording a video yesterday, and that should be up later this week. For my sort of tutorial series that I was making. But other than that, there's not too much to talk about. Hopefully we'll have a lot more stuff for you guys on the YouTube channel. But let's get into the questions and answers related to DCL content for the Game Talk part. So there was a couple of questions from the Gray Sword Master on Reddit. He asked a question that actually was answered in the last podcast, but because the Lame Talk part was sort of cut off, I'll ask it again. Which characters would you guys like to see a 6-day challenge of? What do you guys think?
Personally, I am looking for a Vixen
Ooh, yeah, I like Vixen.
challenge. That would be something that I would really want to see.
Doom?
Doomsday.
Doomsday? He had one.
Oh,
before.
yeah.
He had one before, I think, right?
Yeah, but we need more.
We need more Doom.
We need more. We need more.
Okay, well, if I have to pick a character that hasn't been done yet, I'd probably... The last month, the previous month's paywall character, if they didn't get a weekly one, there should be a weekly one for the next month. That way people can use them in the events. Yep. That's my opinion.
That makes sense. That makes complete sense. Previously, in the last one, I said Suicide Squad Deathstroke, but that was just basically I didn't have him unlocked. Now I have him unlocked. But he also had one previously too. If I had to pick a new character, like I think we were talking before, like Shazam probably would be up there. White Lantern, Sinestro, definitely. Those really, really hard to access characters. They need a way to access them.
Yeah. Or like, what's his name? Has Jon Stewart gotten one? Green Lantern Jon Stewart?
Actually, I don't think so. I
No.
don't think I've ever seen him, no.
No.
Yeah, he's definitely one that would be on that list too. Hard to farm characters, definitely. Okay, moving on to another question. What is the absolute worst team comp you can think of? Terrible synergy and overall uselessness.
Overall uselessness. See, I feel like every character is viable.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna abstain from this and let you guys.
Well,
do
if you go
this.
with like terrible synergy, that's probably easy to care. Like just basically characters that don't work with each other, like a bleed character.
All right. Terrible synergy.
Yeah.
Terrible synergy. Let's go with like. Yeah, I can't think of anything.
Doom?
this is tough because I agree with Ogre. Every character is viable, and it's not like there's no synergy between all the characters. Most of the characters have synergy. The only one I could think of would be something like, I don't know, pairing Superman with Ares because debuffs and all that. But even that's not really a bad synergy because, you know, Superman can purge off that enrage and keep all the buffs. So that's not even a bad combination. Grundy and Team Cleanse characters, that's not even a bad combo either because you could just run fast Grundy.
Yeah, Turbo Zombie.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, I was thinking something along the lines of like Black Canary.
You're cutting out, DP.
Oh, hold on one sec. Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
So I was thinking something along the lines of Black Canary, Damage Goods Joker, Joker Clown Prince of Crime, and somebody that doesn't care at all about those things. Some energy character that doesn't need any of that. I don't know, TDK Batman or something.
No, there's synergy between those things. What are you even talking
Plenty
about?
of synergy.
Okay.
You have multiple stuns.
You have multiple
all kinds
bleeds.
of meter control.
Okay, so you know,
Yeah.
this question is one of the harder questions. We'll pick this up for another time.
I don't think there's a way to actually legitimately answer this.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's an actually maybe this will be a question for Reddit because then we'll see what the hive mind thinks. Okay, let's move on. If Swamp Thing gets a rework, what changes do you think would make him more viable? What should his new niche be?
Okay. I've actually been thinking about this one,
Oh, go ahead.
surprisingly, because I love Swamp Thing. I really hope he does get a few alterations. He doesn't need a lot, I don't think. I think his Force of Nature, his second move, that does the terrible, terrible damage and applies 1 strength down, it needs to literally just be apply a few strength downs and then some turn meter down or something. The legendary on it can change, but take away the damage. Just it doesn't need to do damage. It's fine. But give more than 1 strength down is a big thing. Apply like 3 or 4 over the whole team would be good. I think secondly, his basic attack, because the AI will never use it because of the 0 cooldown on Force of Nature. You need to either change it to make the player want to use it and do more than what it does currently. Because a couple amends is cool, but it's not enough to make you want to use it over the Force of Nature per se. And then his Verdant Coffin is actually okay the way it is. Applying Enrage and some bleeds is good. The only thing I would change there is change it from special damage to regular damage because it's a bunch of freaking vines, man. There's nothing magical about this, and anyway, it's literally slapping you in the face. So change that from special damage to physical damage.
Yep.
And then his passive, I think, is fine the way it is.
What do you think, Doom, about a Swamp Thing rework?
Personally, I don't know. I think Ogre's ideas are okay, I guess. I'd personally like to see I'd like to see 1 cooldown added to Wrath of Nature and have it apply some speed downs in addition to the meter down. That way it makes it a bit more impactful.
That'd be cool.
Instead of it being an Enrage on his Vine thing, instead I would like it to be a heal immunity and to apply more bleeds. Because, oh no, you hit me with the log. Now I'm mad. Grr. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, I guess, okay. Well, technically, I guess it kind of does because of the whole pheromones, plants thing. But that's more Poison Ivy's gig.
Yeah.
So instead, I want it to be more like brambles, branches. You get that wedged in your body. You can't get out of it, because it's in you now.
You're probably onto something with him being more of a speed down character. I could totally see the Verdant Coffin actually playing a bunch of speed down.
I'm getting this whole MTG Tree Folk thing coming off of Swamp Thing right now.
I want him to be... Yeah, I want him to be an 11... Yeah, I need him to be 11-7 with Trample and Haste. But
he's right now 7-11. He's a convenience store.
No, he's like a 1-7. Let's be honest.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
But
outside of that, I would say the only other thing I would change is his passive. Instead of it being like, oh, you revive, put some mins on everyone. I want that to just be a big meaty heal.
Overheal even. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was thinking
make it an overheal.
like the route that I was thinking of him in terms of flavor, in terms of
route.
canon. He's supposed to be the protector of the green, right? So going with that, I would say like make him a taunt character and make him a big tank, like a special tank, right? Like Chemo, for example, a special tank that deals special damage, for example, because he's Mystic. So make him like what was I thinking? There was a character
Now-
to compare him with, but yeah, that's mainly the idea.
One thing I will say, they've never changed a gear set.
Yeah, that's true.
They have never changed a gear set, so he would stay a physical tank.
Oh, okay. So, well, make him a physical tank, that's fine. The idea is that, like, make him a tank that would just be really hard to take down as a Mystic character. So, I think that'd be cool. Because he's the protector. He protects everybody.
Yeah.
Make him, for example,
Yeah.
I was going to compare him to Medfill. Make him a tanky Medfill character. Like a character with a taunt that can get stamina ups and put strength downs on everybody, for example. That'd be really cool.
You know what? What if, because we never really had a character that could do this before, what if he applies like affinity power down so that he can be one of those very rare characters that counteracts the affinity he's weak to?
Oh, cool.
Ooh.
You can take down physicals. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, because he's leader of the green. He fights the leader of the red
Cool.
in the stories at least.
I like that. That's cool. Yeah. Well, moving on with the questions. The last question from Grey Sword Master, I'm just going to skip over because it was a question about top list of rework characters. We're probably going to bring out a list in the future of our overall rankings on separate content that we're going to do for either the YouTube channel or as another podcast. So we'll probably address your question there. But the next question we'll talk about here is Claytoad's question. Over the past year, the player base has gotten used to many bugs and/or mechanics not working as intended, such as Green Lantern Hal Jordan's Purge on Miss, CAGA's insane passive RNG, then Safi, I think it's Star Sapphires, buff immunity on all enemies, etc. If you could keep just one of these, which would it be?
Oh, that's easy. It's definitely got to be Star Sapphire's buff immunity. It actually made her a viable character, and it should have stayed that way, in my opinion, because honestly, she's slow, her heal's okay, but not great. She does mins. That was her selling point, and it wasn't even overpowered. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to bring her into every fight. You used her when you needed her, and it just worked out well. So that's what I would definitely keep.
Yeah, Ogre?
Yeah, I have to agree. Star Sapphire.
Yeah.
Her buff immunity being applied to everybody was really nice, and it was still niche.
Me personally, although I liked Star Sapphire when that was sort of bugged out, but personally, I think it's Princess of Themyscira's, what's it called? The Zeus sword? I can't remember what the sword's called.
You cut out. We didn't actually hear what you said.
Hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying the one I was going to choose would be the Princess of Themyscira's third move. I can't remember the name. The sword that purges.
Fury of Zeus.
Fury of Zeus, yeah. Fury of Zeus before would purge regardless of it missing or not. And now it's kind of like Hal Jordan's hammer. So if that was the way it was at that time, she'd be really imbalanced. But, as she is, she's still a really good character. It's just, slightly not so OP. But I really, really liked that part of her kit before. That's all. Okay, so let's wrap things up, I guess, for this part of the show before we get into lame talk.
Yeah. All right. Hold on. I'm going back to the. Excuse me. So it kind of brings us to the end of the game talk, guys, and we're gonna wrap this episode up. To everyone listening, stay tuned for lame talk coming up. Doom, do you have any final words?
No, pretty much everything's covered. You can expect this format to be a bit more smooth in the future because we won't have to explain it in the first bit.
Yep.
And hopefully you guys will join us for that, and it'll be nice and streamlined, and everyone will love it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it, even though we're a little bit over the hour mark, but we're not too over like before. Overall, everything looks like it's going according to plan. But yeah, before we close it out, I'll just like to plug our social media stuff. So if you guys haven't already, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube at The Oddsman. And also, if you like the content that we're putting out, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/theoddsmen. And with that, we'll wrap up this section.
Right. Are we gonna tell them about the shirts?
Oh,
Are we doing the shirt?
you kind of caught me off on that one. Yeah, sure. We're contemplating putting out merchandise in the future. So if you guys are interested in acquiring some The Oddsman swag, like a T-shirt or a cap or something, let us know, and then we'll keep that in mind when we're looking into what to produce.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to give suggestions like, I want a fridge magnet, or I want a sticker for my car, or I want, I don't know, candy.
I want a onesie for my baby.
We can do that.
Okay, but with that, let's wrap things up. I'll play the outro, and then we'll come back here live on Discord for Lame Talk.
Hey guys, this is Ogre Barbarian of the Oddsman. Wanted to give a huge shout out and thanks to everyone for listening. Catch us when we go live on Discord, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and SoundCloud at The Oddsman. Feel free to check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/theoddsman, for a variety of opportunities to help us grow and provide better content. Thanks again for your continued support, and as always, enjoy and grind on.